Hello, welcome back to the next part in Byte-Sized Interactions. Right, I did think to myself after I did the last episode that there was a lot of messing about showing you how to add keys manually. Because most of the thoughts in my head were people are using downloaded inventories or they're making their own. But to be fair, there's probably a lot of you out there that don't even understand what that is at the moment, or haven't gone about anything like that at the moment. So, as this is part of interactions as well, we could now show you how to pick up a key. But obviously, there's an interaction involved in this. Pick up the key and add it to our inventory. And then what we can do is design a key and link it up. So I'll show you how to do that now. So what we want to do is we need a key. So if you go to your Fab window, I have found one here by our old friend Ray Souza. I think we've used something of his before. Can't remember which one it was. Was it the light? I think it's Ray Souza, isn't it? Yeah, Ray Souza. So if you come to here, type key in the Fab search and then change the price to show only free. You can either use the rusted medieval key. I like the copper one more. This one looked a little bit too rusty. Looks like it's the bottom of the sea type thing. So I've gone with the copper version here. You can use any of the keys that are here. It all depends on how you've designed your door. But I think you could just, this one's probably just as good, to be fair. It's a pretty decent looking key. It's a bit nondescript. It's got, it looks like a key. So download yourself a key. If you download this one that I have, if there's any issues with it, I will obviously be resolving them. So if you do hit issues and you've got the same key as me, at least you'll know how I've resolved them. So first, let's have a look at this key. So if we come to my content drawer, it will be in the Fab section again. And it's medieval key copper by the looks of it. I've not looked at this yet. And let's just find the static mesh and bring it into the world. And where is the key? I don't see the key. It seems again that for some reason this guy's stuff is exporting. It's not centered. I can't actually see the physical key. I don't think it's too small, is it? Can anyone see it? Oh, it's enormous, but it is off center. It's ginormous. Wow, that's a key. Okay, but as you can see, we've got the same old issue here as we've had before. This one includes scale as well. Scale's not an issue, but the pivot point is. And we know how to fix that, don't we? We go up to our selection mode here and we change that to modeling. And then we want to come to is it transform, edit pivots, and then you want to center. And that basically puts the key, the pivot on the key, bang in the center, hit accept. Done. There we go. Did it create a new object? Don't think it did. Let's just double click and open this. I think it's it's minimized again. That's what it is. Maximize. There we go. Yeah, it seems like it's set that. So let's have a look, see what happens if I drag this one in again. Yeah, no, it's just done it to the original model, which is fine. Okay, we now have if you hold shift when you move, you can move with the object, but as you can see, this key is way too big, way too big. So what I'm doing is I'm bringing it across to the door and I'm going to center it round about by the lock, and I'm going to rotate it by hitting E, rotate it 90 degrees, and I'm going to try, I don't know how good I'm going to get this, I'm going to try and line it up, but it looks like it's pretty much there with, hit W again, the door handle. So if I bring this to about, yeah, to about there, it's this side of the door handle. It's not far off at all. Let's bring that up. Oh, actually no, we've got to go by the size of the key. Okay, it's now by the door handle. Now that is enormous. We're going to have to scale this down. So let's bring this down to 0.1 across the board. And let's have a look at that. Let's see. Okay, that works, but it's a little bit big still. So maybe half the size again, maybe might be even a quarter, but let's try half first. So we did 0.1, so it's 0.05. That's not too bad. It's still a little bit big, so yeah, we're going to have to probably go 0.025. Actually, I don't know if that's a little bit too small now. Possibly 0.03. That's not too bad. It's not too bad. What we've got to be careful of is making it that small that we can't see it when we go to pick it up. So let's, yeah, 0.04. Even though it doesn't match the lock here, this is just our testing thing. Right, so we have a key, and there it is. So we've got all our dimensions here that we need, and we need to now make this into an object. So let's go back to selection mode, because we've done all our modifications to the key, and we want to create a new blueprint for this key. Now our blueprint is going to be an interactable, because we're going to be able to pick it up. So I'm going into my interactables folder, sorry, in my actors folder, where I've got my base interact actor. Okay, find wherever yours is and right click on it and create child blueprint class, and it's going to be BP underscore I'm going to call this key base. We're going to do this the right way on this one, like we didn't on the door. This is key base, so this isn't actually going to be this particular key. This is going to be another subclassing exercise, just so that we do this correctly. So we have BP key base. Let's open it up. I'm not going to move it yet at the moment. Let's just work with it while it's here. And we have nothing in it. So we want to find our mesh. So let's go back to our medieval key static meshes and click on it. And then come back up here, and we want to add static mesh, and it'll be the medieval key. And as you can see, it's all completely wrong. It's facing the right direction in here, which is the along the X, but that's fine. But the dimensions are all wrong, but we knew that anyway. So there's two ways we could just do this. We could type in the 0.04 that we've got there, or you could actually come here and right click on the scale and click copy, and then come back to your content drawer. Sorry, not your content drawer, back to your blueprint, and on the scale, right click and paste, and there we go. We have our key. It's all centered, it's all in the right place. We fixed the pivot point. It's very medieval looking. It kind of looks like the club shape, so we could have actually called this the club key, in line with how Resident Evil style naming convention. But yeah, we're not going to do, well, we could do that. Oh yeah, I'm going to call it that. I don't care. Let's compile and save. Right, we've got a key. To be fair, this key can be anything. We could change it to anything. But what we want to do with this is we want to give it our tag. So make sure we've got the medieval key copper version selected. Type tag, add a new tag, and it was interactable with a capital I on mine. Make sure yours is the same as whatever you used. Compile and save. And just for now, what we're going to do, I'm going to minimize this down. I am going to delete this key because we don't want that one now. I'm going to add a add a cube, shapes cube. Bring it up, bring it this way, bring it up through the floor. Right, and we're going to put it there, and then we're going to place our key. So if we go back to our blueprint we've just made in our actors, and we're going to go like this, and we're going to place it there. Now where it is there it's perfect. We just want to rotate it. We click E and rotate it along the, get that right, rotate that around the x-axis, and we've got a key now flat on the table. Let's just make it a little bit more. There we go. So now if we hit play on this, we can walk up and we can aim at that key. Okay, we can now aim at the key and we can interact with it, but it doesn't do anything because we haven't put anything in there. So escape out of that. We are now going to make it interactable. But there's a few things we're going to do first. So let's get rid of that tag thing. We've done the tag. We need to give this, the key, its identifier, the one we've been using in the previous episode. So we need to add in a variable. So this is going to be key, we'll call it key info, and we're going to change that to our type st lock key. Make it viewable. Now because this is now created, this key has got blank in it, but I don't want to create it in here because this is the core blueprint. We want to create it on the one that's in the scene. So we are now able to do that. We've got all this. Let's put the interaction in so we can pick it up. So how do we pick it up? So it's got it to interact. So we go into our event graph and we've got our interfaces and interact. Now the get interact text is automatic. It should call its parent function, which we'll put in, but because it hasn't for some reason, maybe if I don't drag it out, maybe it doesn't need to be there, but because I've done it anyway. But this is the one we're more interested in. It's fn interact. Actually, we do need to change the interact text because this one would be take key, and that's never going to change. It's always going to be take key. That's the only thing you can do with it while it's on the side of the thing. You can't use it while it's on the side, so you've got to take it. So we'll leave that as take key. Double click your fn interact interface so that we've got our interaction. And what are we going to do? Well, all we're going to do here is we're going to drag off here and we're going to destroy actor. Okay, that's all we're going to do for now. There is a lot more there's a little bit more to this, but not a lot more. So just to show you what happens, if we come up, we interact with it, it's gone. And that's what we want, but obviously we want some information from the key, don't we? So let's go into the key itself again. So we're destroying it, we're taking it out of the world, cleaning up after ourselves, but we want some information out of it first, don't we? So we need to be able to send a key to our character. Now the best way to do this would probably be either A, an interface, or B, as we've already got our character loaded, casting to it isn't an issue. And we already know that because we've already loaded our character. The character is always persistent, so we're not adding extra memory in. If the character wasn't loaded, or whatever it is we were casting to, then that would potentially load something into memory that we wouldn't want. The character is always persistent, so casting to it isn't a major deal. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to our player character and we're going to add in a function to add keys, which we kind of got a little bit going. So let's go to our blueprint for our first person character and open it up. And here we go. So how was we adding keys in? Well, we wasn't really, we was doing it manually, but we've got somewhere to put them. Yeah, we're going to use this because if you haven't got yourself an inventory system, this is the way you're going to do it for now, just like I have. So we're going to create a new function. So if you click the plus in the functions category, and we're going to call this fn add player key. as simple as that. So now we have the add player key, we need to add the info in, and it's simple as adding an input as we've done before. We're going to call this new key, and it's going to be of type st lock keys. Now, how easy is that? Right, now what we want to do is add this into our list. Now this is where we can use that little bit of safety. So what we need to do is bring our player keys out, get player keys, and we can safely add this in uniquely in case we have a problem later on, and duplicate keys. So if we drag off here and type add unique, this will only ever add a copy that matches this once. It won't ever add this. So if for some reason you have a bug in your game and the key respawns, whatever reason, you place the wrong key down into a level, then you can't add it to your inventory more than once, because you can only add a unique version of this this structure. So hook up your exec pins and hook your new key into there, and there you go. But what we could also do is we could show some info on this from our using our new HUD thing. So simple enough, we could do it from here. As we're already doing it, we could do it from here. So let's do that. We want to get our interact trace, drag that out, and we want to fn show fn. Oh no, it's on the, we need to get, sorry, we need to get our HUD. Oop, keep doing that, dragging the wrong place. And we need to then fn show player info, drag that into there. And we got to do what we did last time. We need to create an append string. So type append string, and we got an append, and we plug that into there. And what do we want to say? So you could say you have picked up the space, and that's it. And then what we want to do off here, we want to, we've not probably used this before, but break st lock keys. And all it does is break out, because we're sending that directly into there, I don't want to mess with it, but we can get it out of here and break it here rather than right click and split. Because if I try to split it here, I have to split it there, and I have to hook them all up. It's no point. We'll just split it here once by using break st lock keys. And all we're going to do here is give it the name. And that's all that's going to go in there. Let's line those up. Okay, so this will add a unique copy of the key, so we can't ever duplicate the key by accident, into our key list, and it will show the information of what we've just picked up. So if we compile and save that, now if we come to our key base, no, we won't come to our key base. Let's come out of here into here and just click once on our new key. It has no key info, but this is where we can make it persistent now. We've now put this key in the world. This key can become persistent, because while it stays in the world and you don't delete it, it will always remember this. It will always remember this generated ID. If you remove it, you need to remember that you're going to remove it from the door as well. You need to redo the door if you remake the key. So this one's going to be, we're going to call it the club key. It looks a little bit like a club. It's a medieval thing, but yeah, well, we're going to generate an ID, and we're going to type in that a key that, actually, let's a copper key that has a club shaped handle and a full stop. There we go. So I've saved that. That now is persistent, that key. That will always stay there. Okay, we right click this and copy and then come to the door, we can now pair these up. Door key, and if I just right click and paste, it overwrites it, and there is our new key. Okay, so there. Now let's see if this works. It should do. Right, so let's play the game editor thing, you know. So unlock. This door is locked. You acquire a copper key that has a club shaped handle. Cool. So it knows that's the key we've got, and we don't have it. So let's go and get it. We've taken the key, but we don't have it. Why is that? Well, we've just shown that it's all linked up. We've taken the key, but what we didn't do is we didn't then bump that information to the player from the key as we took it. So all we did was destroy the actor. So now, as we've got the character, we need to drag off here. We need to cast it to our BP first person character. Add that into there. And then we want to take from here, we want to run that function fn add player key, and plug that into there and that into there, so it sits nicely in the middle. And where's the key? It's the one we've got here. We just add that in. I'm going to drag that under there. So compile and save. Now we did stop the editor, the game running, but this information is now persistent. I haven't got to keep putting the information in. We already know what this key is because we've already named it. It's present in the world. It's always going to keep that unless we get rid of it. So let's run. And if we come to here, you require a copper key that has a club shaped handle. And then if we come and pick the key up, you have unlocked the door with the club key. How cool is that? That's brilliant, isn't it? How simple is that? We've got the key. It's on us. Wow. Pretty simple, eh? So yeah, so it got a little bit confusing in the last episode because we had no way of putting that key into an inventory unless you had an inventory system. And basically you just follow the same concepts in your own interactions and inventory. You can get that same information very easily. So all you do is your blueprint for your key, when it gets stored into some sort of bucket, array, or whatever it is you're going to be using for your inventory, just make sure you store the key info that goes with it that matches the same style as we've got here. And then you can just search your inventory for type of key or whatever your class name is, and then check if the ID of that key matches that door. So if I come up to this door now and if I change this to a let's go rusty old key, and we're going to generate a new number and a rusty old key that has just a rusty old key. There we go. Okay, if I just save, oops, and I run that, if I come up here now, the door is locked. You are a rusty old key. I'll pick the key up, but it no longer works because I've changed the idea of what the keys that's needed for the door. So if I generated another key, let's just, for argument's sake, we'll copy this door key that we've just made up on our door. So we'll copy this key, the door key, from the door, and we're going to add a duplicate of this one. So if I put that in Nazi mode, if I hold Alt and drag and bring that down, and I'm just going to hit E and just going to rotate it a bit, and we're going to call this one the rusty old key, and click there. So right click on the word key info and paste, and there's the key. Save, and then if we run, we'll come along, can't unlock it because we need the rusty old key. So let's pick this one up. You've picked up the club key. Doesn't work. Okay, well, what about this one? Take key. You've unlocked the door with the rusty key. And that just shows you that we've just picked up 2 different keys, but only the correct one will open the door. I hope that was useful to you. I hope that just added a little extra to the previous episode, especially for those that don't have any inventory system. The way I was showing you by doing it manually, even though yes, it does work, it was a little bit messy and a little bit dirty. This is just a quick way to show you how to make it less messy and to make it easy to pick up an object. And that just proves how easy it is to pick up an object. Let's come out of there. Obviously, if you've got an inventory system of some sort, all you've got to do in your code here is on the interact, you could still add some sort of function on your player. It doesn't have to be add player key, it could be add item to inventory. And then you add the item to your inventory on your player here. So instead of add key, it would be add item to inventory. Yeah, just make sure that that item stores the key information. So if it's a key, it stores the key information, which you probably would do. It'd probably be some sort of structure, I guess, or it could even be a class. You store the actual class, the object, without destroying it. But it's always best to destroy the original actor and not keep it, and just keep the references to its details that are important. So basically you just need a reference to the object and its information that's important, i.e. the class of the object and things like the lock keys, like we've got here, the ID, the name, description, and anything else that might be important that's reusable. If it's generic, you don't need to store it in your inventory. But this is a really, really basic inventory. Let's bring this there. Let's bring this here, and let's tidy this up a bit. Bring this back here just to make this. It's a pity it doesn't bring the key out the other side as well, but it doesn't matter. Would have made this just a little bit more neater. So if we just put that there, C for comment, and we'll say tell player what key has been picked up, and this one would be C add key to, we'll call this, I won't say inventory, to key inventory. Yeah, because this isn't a real inventory, it's just a key only inventory, and you're probably best not to have a separate one for keys. You're probably best to have a global inventory for all your items. But this is just to show you how a small working example of it. And let's just check out add unique and see what happens, because I've never done it with the structure. So let's cheat on here, and we will add, so come along here, we will add this in here, and we're going to duplicate key. Now this is the key that we currently got paired up with the door, if I remember rightly, the rusty key and the rusty key. So this one we're going to duplicate. Press W, and I'm just going to bring that, press Alt and do that. We now have 2 rusty keys, so I'm going to run this. Then what I'm going to do is come up to my player, select it, and then I'm going to type keys, and we're going to watch this here, this player keys. Yeah, so we'll come along and we'll pick up this key, and it's added the club key. We'll pick up this key, and it's added the rusty key. And if we pick up this key, it didn't add anything. Have you noticed there's still only 2 in there? 2 array elements. If I shift F1, 2 array elements, rusty key and the club key, because you can only add the key in there once. It's unique. Okay, that means you'll never get a duplicate in there. So if you accidentally duplicate a key, you can't accidentally break it by adding an extra key in there. It'll just disappear, and you know, that'll be the end of it once you've picked it up, because you've already got it. Or do you know what I mean? Okay, I hope you find that a little bit of a useful add-on to the previous episode, and another basically another interaction, how to collect items and destroy them from the world. So that's what it's going to be called, the episode, but it actually adds on to the previous one with our keys. So I hope you really found that useful, and I'd like to see you to join me again on the next episode. So thanks for watching yet again, and take care.